I mean, he has made clear that
Okay, many of you don't understand what our president is saying, and many of you keep making fun of Biden. Listeners, I completely understand what he is saying. I understand him. He's made it so very clear. So if you don't understand it, it's completely your fault. Here he's talking about Petey Pablo spinning the shirt on his head like a motorcycle. He also states that if you're going to have a swimming trunk in your front sidewalk, to make sure it's in the month of Springvember. And the last thing he touched on is this new mandate, which consists of not being allowed to plant Skittle plants because it will attract pests like Jake the dog and Finn the human. The fun would never end. It's adventure time. See guys, super easy, piece of cake, piece of crumb cake. And remember, Joe Biden will be in one state today, either semi-conscious or confused.
Out of place, we ain't caring about your feelings, yeah. Anytime, any place, you can feel it here. Steven Daniel out of space, so we clear the air. Any topic and it's safe, so just be prepared. Don't assume, keep it straight, we might keep it fair. Fuck the news, fuck a page, we gon' keep it real. If you tune in, then you sick for real. Fuck a Bluetooth, we took the red pill. Every image in the video, talk about it. Different views on the subject, we must talk about it. At the end of the day, we just talking, homie. Only me in the room, but it's like a party. Introducing Steven Daniel, author, artist, all-around great fucking guy.
Why does it hurt when you bite your tongue by accident, but it doesn't hurt when you bite your tongue on purpose? And why are you biting your tongue right now? Hello, my lovely listeners. I hope you had a fantastic end to 2021 and your holiday was great and you are ready to start this new year with great optimism. It's 2022 and I'm ready to get this year started. I got some fun plans for the podcast and some changes. The first thing I'm going to do is changing the way I do the monologues. I'm going to try not sounding like a little whiny shit. I was listening to the episode of Finding Joy in Life the other day, loving the message in that episode, but in the monologue, I felt like I was bitching and complaining about politics way too much, and I was taking too damn long to get the episode started. So, I'm going to try to do my best to not use the monologues to complain about politics and shit. I will say hi, give you the updates, and tell you what to expect in the episode, and move on. Another thing I'm doing with the podcast is bringing in some more hosts. I want to give y'all more variety. I love Brit's segment. I love in the past where I've done other shows like Sex Talk with Rachel. I want more of that type of entertainment for you lovely listeners. One of the shows coming to Out of Place is the King Ducky Show. You have heard this new host already. He was the voice of the phone guy in the Halloween special, and he was Rudolph in the Christmas special. After watching him on Twitch, which his link to his channel is in the description, but after watching and talking to him, I felt like he would be a great addition to the Out of Place family. Another show coming to Out of Place is High Noon. This show is everything and anything that has to do with the Western world. In December 2021, I went to Vegas with my father-in-law. We stayed there for a week, and during that time, NFR was happening. And if you don't know what that is, it's the National Final Rodeo. I found that world so very interesting. We went to the NFR convention at the Vegas Convention Center since it was free to go, and it was amazing. I had a great time. I was even close to buying an authentic, badass cowboy hat there, but I didn't go through with it because I felt like I really need to take my time to find the right one. One day. Anyways, as I was walking around checking out the trucks, the booths, the trailers, the hats, the guns, and eating some beef jerky, I thought that it would be great to have someone talk about things from that world. High Noon will cover all of that, everything from folklore to movies to ranching to music to rodeos to business and fashion. I could see Out of Place growing big and having a High Noon booth at these type of conventions in the future. The next show I want to do is Wine and Shine. This show is a woman's show, talking about life from a woman's perspective. It ain't gonna be a man-hating show, just something fun for women. The next show coming to Out of Place is Geek Soup. This will cover games, comic books, manga, graphic novels, films, shows, anime, pretty much anything geeky. The next show is The Boombox. In season 1, I showcased songs from many indie musicians and stopped due to the copyright bullshit. I learned that even though I got a written permission from the artist, most of the time they don't own the rights to their songs. With all that said, recently there has been many listeners who asked to bring music back to the podcast. So I want to have a segment that talks indie music. I really want to continue supporting the independent musicians, and what better way than to have a whole show dedicated to it. The next show is called Across the Circus. This will be our politics show and will really test your trigger tits because this show will be speaking facts and not caring about your feelings, as the host will be pointing out all the bullshit from all political parties. There will be a couple more shows to announce later in the year, so I'll wait to announce those in the future. I'm excited for all of these shows coming to Out of Place Season 3. If you are interested in hosting one of these shows, or maybe you have a unique idea you want to bring to the Out of Place podcast, follow the link next to my name in the description and contact me. Oh, and before you freak out, the VO nonsense, which a lot of people like, is not going away. I am just going to make them better. Instead of the small, silly skits that I've been doing, and then only doing the big one for the holidays, I want to do the big projects like I've done for those holiday specials. I want that same quality. I also would like to do what I've done before, is work with other writers to bring you guys amazing content. The audio dramas will be split up so the episode won't be so long when I include all the new shows coming. So be ready to hear some great audio dramas that you've heard late last year. Speaking of writers, I am even changing my career as an author. I am no longer going to write fiction novels. Why? Because I suck at grammar. My Nightmare Lane book, which is available on Amazon, is a good story, and I think you lovely listeners would love it too, if your mind is as sick as mine. The story is not the problem. Like I said, it is the grammar. I have had many people read it, and they all tell me the same thing. The story is great, but the grammar needs help. I really tried fixing it on my own, but I've learned that when authors edit their own story, they only look to edit the structure and they bypass the grammar. Other independent authors that I've met, they got lucky and they were like, hey, I got my spouse to edit, my friend or family member to edit. And I'm like, well, good for you. I don't have that luxury. I have had people offer, but they are empty offers. They are kind and want to help. They genuinely want to help. But when I ask when, they don't have a time frame because what? Guess what? They are busy too. They have shit going on in their lives. I offer money to them and they say, no, I don't want to take your money. But I'm like, money helps get it done as soon as possible. Then, to get it done professionally, it would cost me around $3,000 to $5,000 for each book. That's a lot of fucking money to a broke independent author, just to get that shit edited. But then something occurred to me in October of 2021. It'll be one of those things where you say, damn, I should have done that a long time ago. Why didn't I think of this before? It's one of those things. So let me backtrack before I reveal what I'm going to do. Sorry, this is what talkative people do. They take forever to get to the point. Anyways, many of you already know that after high school, I wanted to direct and produce films. Life fucked me and I never went that route. However, my awesome father, Daniel, gave me some great advice. He said that there is always more than one path to the same goal. That's when I wanted to turn all of my film ideas into books with the hope of one day producing a film. I got really excited for this. Started writing down all my plans of the books and trilogies and franchises. It was all in my head. I was super excited. Fast forward to now, and my motivation for writing more books was lost. I got turned off by that shitty grammar. But then in October 2021, I got back into reading graphic novels as I was looking for the perfect one for the Halloween special. And if you haven't listened to it, do it, but after this episode. Anyways, looking at the many comic books, mangas, and graphic novels, I realized that the most popular ones don't have the best detailed drawings of people. It is the storytelling that made the comics popular. Just look at The Walking Dead. One night, looking at the Batman graphic novel, I said, you know what? I can do this. The paneling is pretty much what a director envisions. So that is going to be my big change for my writing career. I'm going to transition to creating graphic novels. So all of my ideas that I wanted to turn into books are now going to be graphic novels. I'm good at storytelling, I'm good at directing, and I'm okay enough to draw. So I'm very excited for this new adventure. My goal with this podcast is to get to the point where I can pay the host and pay for marketing and maybe one day have a nice studio in a commercial space. My goal with the graphic novels is to one day have my own booth at Comic-Con with people dressing up as one of my characters, and I can't wait for both of those things to happen. Today's episode is going to be a short one. As I mentioned last year that both the month of December and January I was going to be very busy and I wouldn't have the normal amount of time I usually put into an episode. So February everything should be back to normal until the military moves us in the summer, which I'll probably have to take another break. Oh shit, Steven, you're moving? To where? I don't know. But when I know, you'll know. For the touchy topic, I'm going to be talking about sensitive people, the snowflakes of the world. You know, the whiners and the pieces of shit that get offended by every fucking thing. Oh, and there will not be a Big Vinny and Lenny this episode. I know that in September of last year, I said that it was going to be one for January. Time got away from me. And this is what also happened. I'm writing the script, right? And for those of you that don't write scripts, if it's formatted correctly, each page should equal to 1 minute. Anyways, I have 50 pages all written up, 3/4 from being done. Then, as I started thinking about the story, I realized that even though it was epic, it was too serious. I'm talking the Godfather level of serious. I started thinking that this is not Big Vinny and Lenny. Those guys are over the top funny and insane. All of their skits was never serious. So I wanted their send-off to be weird, funny, and have you asking, what the fuck was that? It's Big Vinny and Lenny, so we have to do it big and ridiculous. It's the only way to do it, right? So I'm going to take my time on working on the script and make sure Big Vinny and Lenny's send-off is funny and epic. All right, so let's get this episode started. Get your favorite drink, relax, and enjoy the episode.
Time to get touchy, get ready to be triggered. Sensitive topics, oh look, they're about to cry. All consent, so we'll see. Nobody likes a snowflake. What is Steven's problem today?
What starts with an O and ends with eons, and sometimes make people cry. If you're thinking onions, you're wrong. It's opinion. Listeners, what the fuck happened? Why is everyone so overly sensitive today? It feels like more and more people are joining the I'm so offended herd. Every day there is someone who's easily offended by something not offensive and is driving me fucking nuts. You can't just like something or dislike something anymore. You have to really love it or really hate it. You can't be in the middle. I've been called an asshole even more now because they don't like that I don't pick a side. They don't like that I play devil's advocate. And before I get started, I want to say something about the people working in the service industry. Verbal abuse from customers is not okay. Dealing with verbal abuse is not in the description of customer service industry worker. There was a woman that I saw on social media who was telling a story about one of her coworkers. She said a piece of shit guy called one of her coworkers a dumb bitch over an overpriced cup of coffee. She was saying that the coworker was one of the nicest people to work at the coffee shop, and this pussy snowflake verbally abused that nice worker to the point that she had to walk away and go to the bathroom because she needed to cry. That fucker made her feel so awful over a cup of fucking coffee. That is a piece of shit. And that is the type of people that I'm going to be talking about this episode. There were other things that happened recently that made me want to talk about the sensitive pricks out there. The first one was when people was labeling Michael Myers as a homophobe. The latest iteration of this fucker is now being accused by the sensitive fucks for killing a same-sex couple in the latest Halloween Kills movie. Us normal folks don't care who he kills as long as he kills and it's entertaining. But so many sensitive people were so offended because the gay couple was among the body count. I think they started complaining because Chucky showed some empathy in his show, and now the snowflakes felt that Michael Myers needed to be more open-minded as to whom he kills. Really? He kills everyone in his path. You can say that he's an equal opportunity slasher. It doesn't matter who you are, what your skin color is, what your pronouns are, or what your made-up gender is. You will get killed by Michael Myers if you're his target. The fucked part is that all of this is fiction. That's when you know people are too sensitive. They get upset at something that's not fucking real. The other thing that bothered me recently was hearing people going behind the scenes to the wonderful actors that I've worked with saying things like, hey, don't work for Steven. He's toxic to women. Or my favorite, you should stop auditioning for him. He is a white privileged asshole. I'm an asshole, yes, but they didn't even fucking bother to look in my damn picture. Or how about this one? Steven is racist and offensive and is a fat, nasty little bitch. And these are not from the same person. And I really don't care what they say. I know who they are and I choose to ignore them. Maybe they're jealous. Maybe they're going through some shit. So I feel sorry for them. That's why I'm not going to engage with them. These individuals can keep spreading that shit because I know that the more we grow, the more people are going to act like this. I'm just happy that the people who do work for me really like doing it, That's why over time you hear the skits, you hear the same actors or actresses because they enjoy working for the podcast. And because they like working with me, they give me a heads up. I try my best to be a good director to these wonderful voiceover actors. But there will always be a few that spoils it for everyone else or try to spoil it. And I refuse to let them be successful at it. I am always getting hate for Out of Place, and I know that I'm going to continue getting hate. But you know what keeps me going is you, lovely listeners. The voiceover community that I work with are fantastic people. Many listeners love to tell me their stories about what happened to their lives. Another thing that I love that keeps me going is there are many listeners that love to tell me their stories about what happened in their lives, and then they could relate to the episode that they love, or when a certain episode made them feel a certain way. For example, the Father's Day episode, there was a couple of people that reconnected with their father because of it. For the Feeling Lonely episode, there was many people that were like, I feel the same way. For the She's Toxic episode, there was many husbands and boyfriends that were like, you know what? My ex-girlfriend, my ex-wife did this, did that. So all of this, talking with people, that is what keeps me going. So I say, fuck those sensitive bitches. The next thing that made me want to talk about these sensitive sheeples is just watching the American government acting like little bitches. Now, I know across the world there's other government people that act like little bitches, but I don't really pay attention to it. Sometimes I do, depending on where I'm getting my news. But this is all I hear from our government. They're just whiny little bitches. They're not listening to us. They're not wearing masks. They're not afraid anymore. Why don't they let us control them and everything in their lives? I don't care if thousands of deaths and over 150,000 of injuries in December happened due to the vaccines and it got reported to VAERS. The American people shouldn't do anything without the mask or vaccine. What do they think? They're free? Huh? They're free humans? We've been trying to make them afraid from the big bad Trump, but it's like they don't even care anymore. I just don't get it. What is wrong with this country? Why don't they just listen? They don't know that I am a loving politician? This is the same fucking complaining I've been hearing for the past fucking year. This government is a fucking joke. Another thing, gamers. I'm a gamer. I'm not a hardcore gamer. I'm not trying to be a fucking esport. I play tons of games, but I take my time. But I've played Call of Duty since the first one. Same with Battlefield. Back then, I've always imagined, at those times, I imagined playing these battle royale type games, having a huge fucking map and just battle it out. And today, you won't see me playing any of that shit. Why? Because I don't have the patience to play with all these sensitive little bitches that take these games too fucking serious. They are nothing but whiny wannabe esport players. And I'm not talking about kids. I'm not. I understand kids acting up. They're fucking kids. No, I'm talking about grown fucking men and women, but mostly men acting like little pussies. When did acting like a degenerate become okay? When did we get to the point where my teammates or the opposing team tell me to kill myself in real life over a mistake or not taking it too serious? So many gamers today are whiny, entitled simps. They do nothing but whine and complain, and because they can hide behind a gamer tag, they spew out some of the most racist shit I've ever heard. I asked someone recently what the hell was going on, and he defended them by just saying that it's just the way it is now. And I'm told, why don't you just mute them? From Disney changing up Jessica Rabbit for being too sexy to people breaking relationships because of politics to hardcore Star Wars fans, there are too many sensitive people out there. I think the real reason this generation is so sensitive and angry is because their music sucks. Yeah, I fucking said it, but I'm gonna save that shit for another time. All the negative bullshit comes from envious people. They hate what they can't have, they envy what they can't do, so they're always going to whine about everything. Back then, it was a little hard to offend people. Today, you could offend people by the clothes you choose to wear. Shit that has nothing to do with them. And there are so many boomers, people born between 1946 and 1964, and Gen X, people born between 1965 and 1979. These fuckers complain that millennials and Gen Z are too sensitive. Motherfuckers, you made them that way. Boomers, you were too fucking rough that half of your kids, the Gen X, fucked their kids up too. Some of them physically, but mostly they really fucked them mentally. The other half said, I'll never treat my kids that way, and I'll love them, and I'll protect them, which sounds great, but they went overboard overboard with that political correctness. They were the ones that started over censoring and complained about everything, from a Starbucks coffee cup to saying Merry Christmas. Back in my day, we didn't get participation trophies. Well, who the fuck bought the fucking trophies, huh? Us kids didn't buy the fucking trophies. We didn't just say, hey, we deserve a trophy even when we lose, so let's steal our parents' money and grade the fucking trophies and give it to ourselves. You old fucks bought that shit. By the way, I wish people born in the 80s had their own generation name, because we are too young to be a Gen X and too old to be a millennial, but they put us with the fucking millennials. I was born in 1986, and I hate being in the same fucking boat as them. For example, the whole living with the parents thing. If you were born in the 80s and then it was time to graduate high school, it was very frowned upon if you stayed home with your parents. You would watch cartoons growing up, movies, shows, you would listen to your friends, you would listen to the teachers, families, and guess what? They all, every single one of them, it was popular to say this, every single one of them showed and said how pathetic it was to stay at home. And I'm not bullshitting you. This is how it was. Watch old shit and you'll see. The world ridiculed those who stayed home after high school and really did their best to make you feel like shit. It was in my head when I graduated that I had to leave as soon as possible after graduation. That was the thing. When you turn 18, you go. That was it. Like when you were a senior year, where you're living. That's how it was growing up. But then people that were born in the 90s normalized it. Suddenly, it was cool. Dating doesn't matter because your friends and your girlfriends and your boyfriends stayed home too. I was worrying, when I graduated, I was worrying how I'm gonna leave, how I'm gonna pay rent, how I'm gonna be on my own. And suddenly, after I moved out and got married, it was okay. It was cool. You can stay home. I missed the mark by a few years. What the hell? And I know some of you would be like, oh, you know, you're just pissed that you didn't get that opportunity. Yeah, I'm fucking pissed. You know how much money I could have saved just being able to get on my feet, just staying with my parents and it was okay, not having to be pushed out, not feeling that feeling that you had to go as soon as possible. There was a big fucking hourglass just waiting, just, you know what? You gotta go, be ready, make plans, hurry up. I wish it wasn't pressure. Would have taken my time. But I don't regret anything that I've done and choices that I made because it led to my life right now, which I love so much. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love where I'm at in my life. So I wouldn't change anything because it led to this moment. But like I said, us 80s babies need our own generation name, and I think we should call it Gen WTF. Anyways, today, anyone that has access to social media accounts can claim to be emotionally traumatized by something insignificant, throwing a pathetic fit at the smallest thing. They have a sense of entitlement, that thinking that the world owes them something, even though we all know you have to put work to deserve it. These sensitive fuckers always want to argue about something. We all know someone like this. No matter what you say, they are ready to pick a fight, and it's exhausting. They are closed-minded, sensitive pricks that don't want to think about the world differently or see things from someone else's point of view. They want to keep being dick faces and stick to what they know, which causes them to be so fucking ignorant to the world around them. They don't know the facts at all because they confuse it with opinions. And what's fucked is that they're not even willing to learn the facts. You can show them hard proof, but because their group says it's wrong due to the information coming from the opposing side, they have to refuse to accept it. They become personally offended by what the other side says. Clueless AOC can come out and say something that I actually agree with, but because she's a Democrat, the fucking Republicans go, no. We have to do the opposite. They're fucking hypocrites. These sensitive people always want to feel important. It's fine to want to feel that way, but lashing out about how something made them feel just to be in the spotlight is pathetic. But they have been given too much power. The power of social shaming. They realized that they could weaponize being snowflakes. As soon as companies started withdrawing advertising, those shitfucks received that power and started misusing it. And things got ugly real fast. And when there was nothing else to complain about, they started pulling shit from people's past. Companies started firing people left and right, giving more power to the offended. Twitter has become the ultimate dumping ground for them. The offended pussies get to destroy a person or a company's reputation based on accusations, whether it was real or fake. This is political correctness going overboard. And it's not just Twitter, it's everywhere. On all social media platforms. You see it everywhere. There are people who are always campaigning for a cause for people whom they never even met because of what? Ignorance. They even found ways to monetize being offended. Look on TikTok Live or anywhere that has live shit going on, and you will find so many people just being overly sensitive about stupid shit. And people that are also snowflakes are throwing money at them. Oh, me too. I feel that too. Here's money. Here's money. So that causes people to pretend to be offended because they realize there's money in it. They don't have to fucking go anywhere to work. They could just sit there in front of the camera, complain, or be offended by something and get money. I remember seeing this one woman crying about how Starbucks made her coffee too hot, and then she dropped it on herself and she's fucking crying. I remember seeing a guy complaining about the American flag. And what was shocking is that with all these live videos that I've seen is the amount of money people were throwing at them just because they were offended. And some of these people, they create real tears. Companies that gave these idiots power should revisit their social media guidelines. Stop bending the knee to snowflakes and prep for mob retaliation. Since the education system is shit, companies have to teach these things to their employees. They need to educate their employees on what they should do in such situations before posting on social media, getting into a debate against a sensitive prick, because unfortunately, those pricks have too many snowflakes behind them. Companies should not reprimand employees for speaking freely on their own time. Companies should support free expression and support the viewpoints of their employees. At the same time, the companies should educate their employees to research before expressing opinions on the controversial topic. Social media training should be given just like the sexual abuse training sessions. So the social media training sessions should include plenty of real-world examples so the employees are prepared for a potential fallout. I also think that companies should strongly encourage employers to use their real names on social media platforms. They will be held more accountable and not be able to hide behind a fake profile name. I know people will cringe at this, but that is why people do what they do. There is no accountability. So if you falsely accuse somebody, you're fine. You're protected. That's why people keep doing it. Anyways, the number one thing companies should do is to hold off firing employees because of the social media mobs. The best thing they should do is to suspend the employee for like a week and investigate a little further. Most of the time, the woke mob will move on to a new fake outrage. Companies need to come up with better policies and stop letting the mob make decisions for them. Companies, stop giving them power. These sensitive, politically correct pieces of shit don't realize that a lot of their bullshit has consequences. Here's an example. In November 2009, a psychologist working in the U.S. Army opened fire on other troops in the base, shouting "God is great" in Arabic. 13 people were killed. It was soon discovered that the government knew all about his radical ideologies way before this act of terrorism. They were aware of a whole bunch of emails that he had been sending to other radical individuals like him. Even the people working with him at the army base felt uneasy working with him. But the U.S. government and the higher-ranking folks on the base had to be sensitive little bitches. They didn't want to seem offensive. They didn't want to be accused of racially profiling someone, giving more power to the offended. So guess what? They didn't take any action, and 13 people had to die because of it. This kind of shit happens way too often. Officials don't want the woke snowflakes to yell at them, so they ignore when they shouldn't ignore. I really think that people in the sensitive herd of pussies are just unhappy with themselves and their lives. Like when you see people who get so angry at others who share their success on social media, I truly believe that they are jealous and they feel bad for themselves. Because why get offended by someone's success? Why get offended by someone's body? Let's say a woman is laying on the beach in her swimsuit. She is healthy, eats what is she supposed to be eating, works out. She's just relaxing on the beach, feeling good about herself. Suddenly there's a fat woman who is disgusted with herself, who don't see that she's beautiful too, and she'll be complaining and be like, ugh, look at that woman with that unrealistic body standard. What a slut. Then a prude woman, whether it's because of religion or their sex life sucks, that woman will be like, oh, look at that half-naked woman. How dare she? She should cover up. Then a toxic feminist will be the loudest on social media, and she'll say something like, oh, look at that woman on display for male validation. I hate men. Then a guy will say, wow, that woman is beautiful. And those three sad, sensitive women will be yelling at him for being a misogynist, toxic, and saying so much negative shit to him. And then defend that woman that they were bashing a minute ago. That's what these sensitive fucking pricks do. They're hypocritical pieces of shit. One of the things these sensitive fuckers do is blaming others for their own unhappiness. It's not their fault for their failures. It's not. They just want a scapegoat for their unhappiness, so they freak out about something simple and treat it as an outlet for that anger. One of the things that they ruin is entertainment. Almost every single thing that I loved back then when comedy was great will never pass today. Too many things would be wrongly called sexist, homophobic, or racist. Hollywood has given the power to the offended or has hired the sensitive bitches to be responsible on what goes out. So movies or scenes from movies and episodes are being cut, and if they don't get cut, there is a trigger warning message so that the sensitive pricks don't go after them. When I was watching the 1953 animated Peter Pan movie on the Disney Plus, this is what the warning said. This program includes negative depictions and or mistreatment of people or cultures. These stereotypes were wrong then and wrong now. Rather than remove this content, we want to acknowledge its harmful impact, learn from it, and spark a conversation to create a more inclusive future together. Disney is committed to creating stories with inspirational and aspirational themes that reflect the rich diversity of human experience around the globe. That's what it says. All of the old movies like Dumbo, The Jungle Book, Lady and the Tramp, and The Aristocrats have a warning too. You don't even have to watch it. You see it in the description, and they'll have that trigger warning for the snowflakes. Here's what it says in the description. This program is presented as originally created. It may contain outdated cultural depictions. It's fucking insane. Why do these snowflakes have to ruin comedy too? Comedy should have no bounds. The world is fucked with fuck things happening all the time because of fuck people. Comedy helps us humans make things better. We have the ability to make good of any bad situation. Comedy helps us do that through laughter. Even during the radio days, comedy was key. Millions of people would gather around the radios during the wars and through the Great Depression just to laugh. Because when shit was fucked, at least they can find moments of joy. So many of my favorite stand-up comedians have been targeted by the offended. They have to censor their own material to satisfy the snowflakes. Like I said, their new power enables these entitled pricks to restrict the comedian's freedom of speech. This causes new comedians to be afraid to write the material that they really want to do. That's why I love doing this podcast. I don't give a fuck what people say. I don't give a fuck what people think. I refuse to give in to those sensitive bitches. So many people, especially conservatives, blame companies like YouTube and advertisers. I will blame them for giving in to the sensitive folks, but it's not really the company's fault for all the censorship. Companies are only responding to what the public wants. Why? To protect their money. That's why they do what they do. So they have to censor. So how do you deal with people who are easily offended? The number one thing to do is to ignore them. It sounds very easy to do, but sometimes it can be the hardest, especially if you're addicted to social media. You will always see someone being ignorant and sensitive on these social media platforms. As soon as you see these dumb posts, you will feel the urge that you want to tell them the truth. You will want to set them straight. Don't. It will just turn into a huge unnecessary argument. So you got to avoid commenting. I used to comment on everything that I found offensive, but all I did was give myself headaches. When you see that post that has you all worked up, just keep scrolling. It's great to have your own thoughts and believe, but the sensitive fuckers do not understand logic or how to debate properly. So showing those type of people your opinion is only asking for trouble. You will be tempted. They will call you names. They will try to turn people against you, but do not argue with them. Fuck those bastards. Don't give them the attention. Just ignore them. They'll back off because these sensitive people want attention. So don't give it to them. Ignore them. Don't even block them. You're going to feel tempted to just block them. No, don't block them because they feel like they won if you do. They go insane when you ignore them. Trust me. You may think that so many are against you, but the reality is that there are more people that will side with you than those sensitive fuckers that try to destroy you. Arguing with these sensitive fuckers is pointless. You will not get anywhere because they will not want to listen to reason. They think they are right. Let those pathetic fuckers worry about getting validation from the world. Like I said, ignore them, and you will win just by walking away and making yourself smile. I know I said to ignore them, but at the same time, you need to stand up to them. Not by responding to their bullshit, but by speaking your mind. As you ignore them, keep doing what you do. Keep saying what you say. Like I said, Don't respond to them, but don't be afraid to post your own shit. Don't worry about what others might say as they try to stop you from speaking your mind. Don't be a mindless robot or a sheeple. Don't give in. Be you and defend other people who are like you. Make fun of the mob's rush to judgment. Make fun of the snowflakes. And before you get butthurt because of a headline or a thumbnail, always dig for context. Think before you post. Most of the time, all of the bullshit we all see and the reason people get into trouble is that they rush and assume things. People misunderstand jokes and they look stupid because they failed at getting that 15 minutes of fame when they try to disapprove it. Why do they fail? It's because we are all tired of those sensitive bastards spreading misinformation. The most dangerous people are the lying snowflakes that think they're telling the truth. But what if you're like, Steven, I've done this, I'm a sensitive prick, but I don't want to be a sensitive, ignorant prick anymore. I don't want to be called a snowflake anymore. I want to change. What do? First thing I have to say is that it is okay to be offended. There are things that we should all be offended about, but you don't have to be filled with anger. You don't have to continually be offended day in and day out. You can hurt yourself mentally if you keep on with that behavior. I truly believe that being offended is not the problem. There will always be something that you will dislike. The problem with sensitive folks today is the feeling of entitlement. Many people today was never oppressed or felt what true poverty is or gone to war. So they don't know what it's like to not have everything at the ready. Because today, you can pretty much get anything you want almost instantly. Like I said, you can be offended all you want, but it does not give you the right to control how other people behave and talk. You see, if someone says, hey, Steven, you're a piece of shit, I have every right to be offended, but that doesn't mean I can start a campaign to prevent people from saying piece of shit. You have to understand that something offensive is subjective. What offends you might not offend me. What offends me might not offend you. It depends on our religious views, our social background, our diet, our economic background, our political affiliation, the people we surround ourselves with, where we live, how we were raised, our ethnicity, our age, and our gender. You must realize that just because you are offended by something specific, it doesn't mean that the rest of the world should be offended too. We are all unique. I don't want to live in a world where we all have to be exactly the same and have the same beliefs. Every thought should not be policed. Freedom of speech should not be policed. Listen, if you're trying hard to prevent people from thinking a certain way, from saying what they want to say, or stopping them from doing anything, you are being a fascist asshole. You have to stop drawing the lines between what is okay to make fun of and what isn't okay. You have to stop policing people's thoughts. You have to stop policing people's speech. Always being filled with anger can cause anxiety and depression. These are known to negatively affect not only your mental health, but your physical health too. It can also definitely ruin the best relationships you have had. You have to learn to pick your battles. So many things are not worth being triggered by. If someone said blue is the greatest color in the world, gave a beautiful reason as to why, but then start bashing your favorite color, saying that it's trash and only stupid people like that color, you could be offended by that, but there is no reason to be angry and overly emotional for that. Doesn't matter what the other person says, because the reality in this example is that you don't like every fucking color out there too. There is at least one color that makes you gag. Someone out there loves that color you hate. So don't go overboard with things that are just not worth the aggravation, not worth getting offended by. It is ridiculous to get really nuts and overly emotional by dumb shit. Dumb shit like when someone puts on a seatbelt when you're driving and you think it's commenting on your ability to drive, or being oversensitive because a comedian made a joke, or a person's skin color, or when you see Steven Crowder at a college, or when you're asked to show ID, when Jimmy Kimmel says something you don't like, when you can't use an expired coupon from a decade ago, when someone passes you in traffic, when a politician of the opposing party wins, when a movie is not woke enough, when you're a fat fucking jealous of the skinny fucks, when you don't like how other people parent, when someone don't know your fucking pronouns. Stop being overly offended when you see like the American flag, when someone says Merry Christmas, when you see a mom breastfeeding in public, when someone talks about freedom, when you see wealthy people walking around, when you see a picture of a gun, when you see a video or a picture of Donald Trump, when someone talks about Jesus, when someone wears a piece of clothing with a sports team logo that you don't like, when you see a Dr. Seuss book, when CNN is playing at the airport or hotel, telling you don't get fucking crazy over shit like that. Like when someone makes fun of Southerners, the color of a fucking crayon, the name of a fucking food at a restaurant, the design of or name of a fucking mascot, when you see straight people, when someone talks about global warming, when you hear Fox News being little bitches, when someone demonizes your favorite politician, when you see Colin Kaepernick showcasing another bullshit stunned when someone says Alex Jones is a piece of shit, when celebrities are outspoken against half of America, when you see anything NASCAR, when someone says Starbucks suck, when someone says the city or state or country you live in is shit. My point is that no matter what, there is always someone offended by some fucking thing you do. Don't get offended by these dumb shit. And there's no reason to go crazy. There's no reason to block traffic. There's no reason to riot. There's no reason to get nasty because you disagree. So you have to surround yourself with people who are not snowflakes. If you hang around confident people, you will be confident. If you hang around intelligent people, you will be intelligent. If you hang around millionaires, guess what? You're going to be a millionaire. If you hang around sheepos, you will also be a sheeple. If you hang around triggered, sensitive fuckers, you will also be a sensitive prick. I choose to spend my time away from the sensitive people. I don't care if they are family or friends. I say fuck them. Why do I want to deal with those type of fucking sensitive people that get offended by every fucking thing that I do? These people's only mission in life is keeping people like me angry. Don't be like that. Don't use anger and being offended as a quick solution to complex problems. Giving into this kind of anger means that you don't have control over yourself. This is how you take control. First, you have to learn to research and understand the other side of the argument. It is very hard to do at first, but then it will be easy. Because I have learned that everyone has their own story, and it's not up to me to judge quickly. You have to try to put yourself in the shoes of the person behind the statement that offended you. You have to understand that the culture in which a person grows up can lay the groundwork for politics, religious beliefs, and personality traits. The person who grows up in a culture that embraces something wrong may reject it harshly and keep that opinion until adulthood. They believe in that shit because they were taught to believe that shit. It is not always about being right or wrong. It is about the difference of opinion and how we think the world works. That person that has a different view than yours may be doing their best to be a good person, doing what they think is right from their own experience. You have to consider the character of the person who is speaking and saying things that you consider to be offensive. Are they someone that is really going to do you harm? Or do they just have a difference of opinion? Because many times it's about the approach. Many times both arguments lead to the same fucking result. So when you think about the other person, when you put yourself in the offender's shoes, do they understand what they're talking about? Perhaps they may even know something that you don't that would cause you to change your mind. So don't be too proud to change your mind. It happens to me all the time. With politics, I'll say one thing, I'll believe one thing, and somebody has good proof, a good argument, they were respectable to me, and I'm like, it made me think. And I like that in people. I like when people do that. I said this before, that you have to choose your battles wisely. Ignorance is a plague on humans, and that will never end. You can have all the education and opportunities in the world and learn new things, but there are people who just don't want to learn. They are too comfortable in their little circle that they've made out for themselves, and they don't want to jeopardize it at all. There are people who enjoy anger and conflict. Those people really do exist. I used to be like that. For me, it was no big deal to push someone's button just to watch them rage over nothing. They were not going to convince or correct me because I didn't care to be corrected. I just wanted to fuck with them. Not proud of being that type of person in the past, but that's how I used to be. But guess what? You just have to ignore them. Every time you choose to be offended and be very angry, you are giving away a small piece of yourself. You are burning yourself out emotionally. There is no reason to be like that. The world doesn't need people like that. The fucked world needs people who can work shit out and make things better. Ask yourself if any good will come from taking offense and getting all worked up. Before you explode at something stupid, take a deep breath. Consider the situation. See if any good will come of it. And then choose to do something after that. You don't have to be angry and fight people all the time. When you are angry and overly emotional, you will make mistakes. And mistakes that would be hard to take back. Mistakes that can cost you. To wrap it up, I have to say that I do feel bad for all these sensitive pricks. Think about it. They are such in a bad place in life where they are hurting so much inside that they have to drag other people down. It's easy to say fuck them. It's easy to ignore them or to delete their bullshit, but I do feel bad. I genuinely feel bad. From when I was a fat little shit to now with the podcast, I've always received hate. But the way I think now is different. I feel bad. Because those who said that I sucked, who told me how fat I am, who told me how ugly I am, who called me racist, said I was stupid, I know that I'm neither of those things. Well, I am fat, but I'm not stupid, I'm not racist, I'm not ugly. But I think that for someone to say all of that shit, they must be going through something bad. You have to understand that shit happens, and then you have to move on. Don't focus on the small, stupid shit. You fall on your face, life found a way to fuck you in the ass, just say fuck it and move the fuck on. I can tell you that this fucked world would be a better place if everyone wasn't so fucking sensitive. If you can't laugh at the jokes, things around you, or even at yourself, you won't be able to get through life. Just smile and learn to relax. Stop making the biggest deal about something small. Remember this, not me or the people around you, physically or online, can offend you. Only you can offend yourself. Think about it. I say something that offended you, and you're sitting there thinking about what I just said. Don't be the type of person that puts so much focus on what I just said, because you're creating an extreme feeling, and now you're offended because you, along with so many people out there, are trained to be a victim. When I hear people saying this offends me or that offends me, all I see are people that are admitting that they have no control over their emotions. Someone on TV, on social media, is controlling how they feel. Don't let other people, other things control how you feel, because those type of people, they believe that they can't change. They believe that they can't succeed at anything. If you keep thinking that way, you will always be fucked. You will always be miserable. You will never be happy. You will never be in a great relationship. You'll always be saying, they made me feel bad. No. You made yourself feel bad. One of the great habits to learn is to not take things personally. There will be many times where people can really disappoint you and drive you fucking crazy. Like when someone cuts you off on the road, or when someone doesn't pay attention where the line ends and they skip you. When a fucking random kid bothers you at a restaurant when you're trying to enjoy a meal and the parents don't do a damn fucking thing. Or when you have loud neighbors. All you have to do is not be overly offended by that type of shit. Don't be offended by anything you can't change. Stop looking for things to be offended by and learn to put yourself in the offender's shoes. Sometimes that will help. I promise you. I do it all the time. If someone says something, sometimes internally, I'll be upset. It'll bother me. But then after a little bit, and I think about it, why are they saying that? But look at the politics. Somebody could say something that offended me, but then I just think, you know what? They're only saying that because of where they choose to get their information from. So of course, they're going to feel and think a certain way. So I respect a lot of the people's opinions. I just don't respect and don't like when they treat me like shit. That's what I'm against. You have to learn that the next time someone offends you and complains about you for saying the wrong thing in public, for eating meat, for using gender pronouns, for openly supporting your favorite political party, for casually flirting with a stranger, for innocently touching another human being, for praying to your chosen deity, for earning more money than someone else, for making a simple joke, or simply because you don't identify as a non-conforming gender fluid pansexual umbrella. Don't give in to them. Don't let them make you angry. Don't stand for it. Not for one moment. Because at the end of the day, you are only being yourself. And there's nothing wrong with being yourself. If being you offends others, fuck them. It's their problem to deal with. Don't let them make it your problem. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you like the show, leave a like, leave a comment, submit a rating on iTunes, subscribe, follow, and ding our bell, or whatever it is you want on the platform you're listening to this on. Just show us that out of place some love and share this wonderful podcast. If anything I said in this episode offended you in any way, we don't care. Cry to your mommy or anybody that will listen to a sensitive snowflake like yourself. Just know and understand. Get ready. No one cares. Other than the music streaming service you're listening to this on, you can also find this podcast on YouTube. To our loyal listeners who made it to the end, we love you, we appreciate you, goodbye, and always remember to smile.